Great. So I want to welcome all my listeners right now. I'm so privileged and honored to be introducing. It's actually a friend of mine, but she doesn't need an introduction because she's famous. ChantalChamandy, who's a local Montreal talent of ours that we're so proud, speaking to us from Florida. So scary out there, right? What's going on? At least you've got the sun, but the numbers are scary. Chantal, tell us a little bit about what's quarantining like over there.
Yeah, you have to live in your own little bubble here because, as you can't really go outside in groups. You have to do social distancing, do the responsible thing, and if you're with your family or your pet, you have to make the
Yeah,
best of
you
it.
have to keep
Take time
together.
to movies to get on a new healthy kick. Um, I'm pretty lucky, like you said. At least we get to walk on the path in the morning, do a little bit of gym in the dog park, and then come home and do something that you've never done before. Maybe come up with learn a new language. We're so lucky. We're so privileged to have the internet and to be able to
Yes.
do things that maybe 20, 25 years ago weren't available to us.
Yeah.
So we have to always look at the positive side because there are people that are in hospitals right now and a lot of people who are dying. So I don't think we have anything to complain about if we're healthy and breathing.
I think you bring up such a good point, and this is part of why I started this platform, is to get that insight and the mindset of those that that are privileged, to not be sick, to that the least that they're asking us to do is really just to quarantine and stay home. Um, Especially given all the people that are on the front lines that are risking their lives every day for us, specifically the doctors and all the medical staff, the service people that are allowing the food supply still to come to us, that it's still making our lives very, very manageable, right?
100%.
Yeah.
We have to really, big shout out to those who are out there. I mean, it's great to look at stories, on TV of the nurses,
It is.
nurses who have their own families to worry about, and they've had to drop off their kids. I know somebody who had to drive to Montreal to drop off her kids to her mother, and then drove back. She's a well-known doctor in New York, and I mean, that's really putting her life on the line. So I think
Yeah, it's their life, and even the risk when they come back home to their families that are there, and they
yeah,
do it for us, right?
yeah, and I think what, as human beings, we're just used to, complaining about every little thing, and I think this would be a good time to reflect on
So right.
on after when this is all over, the little things we complain about, and just to remember these times, and
Not to
maybe
take it for granted.
not take anything for granted.
Yeah. So listen, I want to take step back a few steps, because we jumped right into how you're quarantining, and I think you're right. Stopping to take the time and reflect is so important. But wanted to talk a little bit about your background, which is why I reached out to you. Given the fact that you're a female entrepreneur yourself, so not only are you a talent in entertainment, but if you can just give us a little bit of background, for there's many that know you, but would love to reshare this story again about how you started, and how you've transformed yourself, your brand, into many different things, and that is like you've got that serial entrepreneurship about you.
Well, I think the music and film part of me, of course, the music being my number one love, and something that I've still doing, and now I'm writing, and now I have a son who's a filmmaker, and
Yes.
a little shout out to my son,
To Harley.
yeah, who is a filmmaker and writer, and we're having a great time doing this together. And about my mother died of cancer a long time ago when I was little, and I really believed that you could change a lot of things in you by changing your lifestyle. And just one second, Darian, by changing your lifestyle, the way you eat, the way you
Yes.
think, the
And
way.
that's been part of what defines you, like, since I've known you. I mean, you're the sister of one of my best friends, and from when I met you in my early 20s, right away you always talked about how important it is to put your health first, and like the plant-based diets, things like that. So you
Really are.
started this before it was a trend and before it's
Oh yeah.
become the norm,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. People used to think I was a bit nutty. And then when liquid nutrition happened, it was really, it wasn't at all the same concept as what we had now. We basically bought one, that was one store, and it was these two
And you've
gentlemen
expanded.
who were running it, and they were doing more like milk smoothies and thing like that. And my husband and I both had a passion for, living healthy. So just for fun, we bought that store, and we thought, okay, well, at least we'll make it to what we want, and then we'll be able to go have juices there every day. Crazy thing. And then, so it started off, we removed the milk, and of course people went, oh my God, how could you do this to us? And,
Mhm.
and then we we removed the soya milk, and people said, oh my God, how can you do this? And basically it just kind of grew into, um, more than a passion project. And really, when as the years went by, we realized that people jump on the bandwagon, but
Who
on a
stays
maybe a little bit
consistent?
of on a slower pace. But if you keep preaching the same thing over and over again, or
Yeah.
me using the word preaching, if you share,
Yes.
then people will go to the internet. People will do their own, they'll educate themselves, and then they'll say, oh my God, this could be a great thing. And at the end of the day, we don't condemn people who eat meat, or who eat that's not
There's no judgment here, right? It's
no
it's about
judgment.
making healthy choices.
It's just about making healthy choices, and to help people who maybe aren't feeling so good, to go, okay, maybe you should try this for a week, and then that when you get off this,
You can
or
see
get
the
back on
difference.
this will you'll feel different, or so I think that was our main reason. And I always said, when I have a child, you bring up your kid your way, and I'll bring mine up my way.
Yeah.
And I did this with Harley since he was little, so drinking green juice every morning is not something abnormal in our family. That's
No,
the only thing he
it's
knows.
become his habit, right? Like that's been his
Right.
lifestyle since he was born.
Right. So I think that was really important. And then, so everything was a bit of a struggle, but in a good way, because I think that today, I could always look back and say, you know, I was like the first juice bar that did
Yeah.
this, or, for myself,
Yeah.
as a person of conviction, and I don't sway because somebody tells me something else. So I think that's really important. If you really believe in something, and you educate yourself, and you find the facts, get the facts. There's always two fact books, right?
Yes.
People will tell you that, but think about how it makes you feel. At the end of the day, that's the most important thing.
It sounds to me you're living your truth. Like you said, you live with
Yeah,
conviction, right? These are things that you stand by. These are values for you. It's not
right,
just a lifestyle choice.
right.
And I want to pull that nugget out of what you were just talking about, because what that sounds to me is, for how this all started, was this was just something that you loved. Yes, is there a business idea behind it? But I think where it started was that seed was what you were passionate about, you and your husband, that you shared together, was your love for living a healthy life. And you use this as a way to share what your value system is.
Okay, hold on. I lost you there.
Oh, volume wise, eh?
Okay, no, okay.
Okay.
It was even more than a passion, because for me it was really, losing a mother at 30 years old. She was 30 years old, my mother, when she died. Not
Yeah.
even. That is really what
So
is.
losing to cancer, that was the.
Everybody tells you, yeah, and everybody tells you, well, you have to be careful, you have to do this, and it's genetic, and you hear these all horror stories. And the
Yeah.
truth is, you can break your genetics to a
Yeah.
certain extent. You can, sure, if you live the way, in our culture, we ate a lot of meat, we ate a lot of
Indulgence.
a lot of different things that maybe I wouldn't do today. The truth of the matter is that it didn't hurt for me to try, and it worked for me.
Yeah.
So that's the most important thing, I think.
Okay.
And so, like, again, it's not about preaching, but it's about being open-minded.
Yeah.
It's about what we're going through now. For example,
Yeah.
if you don't keep your immune system, perfect,
Strong.
chances are, if you don't have it, and you walk out there, and you eat bad, and you live bad, and you don't sleep well.
You're increasing your probability of getting sick,
So
unfortunately.
don't you
Yes.
want to do everything to minimize
The
that?
chances.
So that's why it became, it became more than, it became more than a passion project. I became like determined to help people who needed help.
Okay, so it was a goal of yours then.
Yes, it was
Yeah.
definitely a goal of mine.
So what is liquid nutrition today? Like, that started with one store back then.
Right.
And I remember when you guys were just getting into the branding and making sure that it was in line with what your vision was for the company. So
Yes.
it started out as one store, and if I remember, my gosh, I was still in university.
Yep.
And
And
what has it
exactly.
grown to today?
You know, I think you learn a lot. You know, since this wasn't really my line of work, um, I think we grew. We probably had about 8, 9 stores, 10 stores, and then realized that you can't just franchise for the sake of franchising. You have to really be selective, especially in an industry like this.
Okay.
So we realized that some of the people who were in our franchising really didn't believe in
The concept of,
the concept. So if you are a person who wants to deliver this message, you have to be able to at least live partly like this. And I think you have to have conviction.
yeah.
So we now have we've now rebranded, moved everything around, and became 100% vegan.
Okay.
So we took out the honey, we put maple syrup. So now we have Phil, who is basically owns all 4 franchises in Montreal and
Okay.
2 more. So one at the hospital, we're looking at another one in another hospital. So interesting enough that we are in hospitals and helping
Already.
who have very much a different belief
You're
in
right, because it's less preventative and it's more treatment, right?
Right. So doctors are, they go to school to learn how to save, to learn how to fix.
Fix
We believe, when I say we, this concept is
concept,
about, trying to,
preventing it.
right,
Yeah.
rather than fixing the sickness. So,
Yeah. And yet you're partnering.
yes,
Amazing.
because with time, I think, you know what, I think it's like, it's like your grandmother when she told you, eat garlic, it's really good for you. Well, it is really good for you. And
Yeah.
it helps you, if it helps boost your immune system, kill the microbes and bacteria,
Yeah.
what you have nothing to lose, give it a
Yes.
try. So I think that it's really cool that this young woman that I met named Grace, actually I met her over the phone, reached out to me. She's the curator of TED Talk for women.
For,
So
yes, for female Montreal women, right?
so she reached out to me and she said, would you help? And I said, of course. It was not even, and to think of all the doctors again that are in our own
On the,
community.
yes.
If we want to help the whole world, we have to start with
You have to
at least
start somewhere.
home.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, absolutely. So I called Mike, who makes our,
Your
juices.
juice.
He makes for a lot of other people, but he was working with us at Liquid Nutrition, and then now makes all the juices for Liquid Nutrition. And I said, Mike, I said, these people need help. And he said, well, what can we do?
Yeah.
So that's kind of
They're
how it
doing
started.
18-hour days.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
doing 18-hour days, and to find the time to eat well,
Yep.
not easy in an environment that we're living in right now. And
Absolutely.
and they're like machines and robots. They're not even thinking about that, right? They're not thinking about themselves.
Yeah. They're just thinking about how can we help save other people.
Yeah.
And so they said, could you deliver? We can start off with 200 juices a day, 5 days a week. So that's 1,000 juices. Maybe we'll have to ramp it up. So we said, yeah. So it starts April 14th. Because,
Okay.
there's very little staff and
Yes.
so we're going to be delivering it twice a week to the MUHC hospital. And of course, if there's any other hospitals that need, our help, we'll do our best, because as staff is also minimum for Mike. So
Yes.
we're
You're
in the
doing the best with the resources you guys have. It's amazing what you've been able to pull together. I'll make sure to share the links, the donation links that you guys have set up through it's a crowdfund, I believe, right?
fun, and it's Grace that started that, and boom, she was
That
up.
platform. It's amazing. So I'm going to definitely share that here, LinkedIn. We're obviously talking about it in our video. I'll share it on our Instagram profile. And if everybody else out there can, share it out to their network and be able to provide the funds to cover the costs. Because I think that's what you guys are able to do. So there's your donation and then producing it at cost. So it's not even about making money. It's not about taking advantage of this situation. It's about how can we help the community, and I find that amazing.
And also what's really important is that, because people, I always ask, how safe is it? Well, we HPP our product, and
Okay.
HPP is called, so it's cold pasteurization. So it, basically, when you pasteurize something in heat and it
Right.
stays on the shelf,
You're
that
killing
means
the bacteria.
no, but when you pasteurize something in heat and you, like, like tomato juice, that's
Okay.
like, so it's just, if you could leave something on a shelf, you have to understand that it has no life
Right.
in it. So when you have to put something in the fridge, it's because it's still living and still, and that's what our aim is. So we HPP it, so it's cold chambers of hyper pasteurization, which are basically goes into very, very cold chambers, and it kills the bacteria. And therefore, when we deliver juices, we never have to worry, was it out too long? Was it not in the
Amazing.
fridge? And then, you have 30 days to drink it. So it's, and I don't think it'll last even like
I don't think so. They need it. They need the fuel.
that kind of feel. So we're just happy to be doing something, in our community, even though I'm not in Montreal. And, you
Well,
know,
I love that your heart is still in Montreal. You're giving back and you're going back to your roots. So I think that's why I reached out to you. I said, I have to share your story. It's great that you're doing this. Even greater that you're doing it for your community, that you're no longer there, but your heart is still here.
absolutely. And it's amazing if I can give you a shout out for after, you're a mother of 4 kids and you're a full-time mom. I call you, super mom,
Yeah.
that you're doing this, and you're going to be sharing, you're also going to be you're mentoring your kids, because they're going to look up at mom and they're going to see all the things that she's doing, and that's how they're going to grow up, because that's what kids do. They
Yeah.
mimic, especially if they have a happy upbringing, then they're going to see their mom and they're going to want to be just like you. So
You know
it's really,
what? It's
yeah.
it's amazing that you bring that up, because this is a big part of why I did this in the first place. Is I'm raising 4 daughters, and I think about what I've lived through in the business world as a female. Just being in a male-dominated industry, first
Yeah,
of all, and then going on to start my own business. Like, is it better than it was for my mother? 100%. But I'm thinking about for that next generation when my kids are going to be in there, and I love to be involved in any type of platform where I can have an impact in shaping how the world is for them. and uh,
absolutely.
and it's like first movers like yourself that have contributed to what my daughters are going to be experiencing when they're older. So
Wow.
that's why I want to share your story and empower women. It's we're working within this society, and I love that it's not just about us and us being better and or about catching up. It's just about making the whole world better, in all in or whether it be a small way or a big way. Every impact counts.
100%.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for your time, Chantal. You've already sent me the links. I'm gonna be posting this, and I'll be resharing it and encouraging all the listeners to be doing the same thing, because I believe people can make donations online to cover the cost of those juices
Yes,
that are going
yes.
to the hospital.
And I want to thank also, everybody at the MUHC, especially Linda Bell, who's going back and forth with me, and thank
For the
obviously,
coordination.
who's like, who's just really, just outdone herself, and she hasn't stopped, and now she is on the masks and so whatever you can do in your community, even if it's just reaching out to 2-3 people, those are 2-3
You're
people that
so
you
right.
can't afford. So
You're so right. Well, thank you for
taking
leading
time for me.
this movement, and we hope that more people follow in your footsteps.
Well, thank
Thank
you
you,
so much.
Chantal.
And yours. Nice to
Love
see you.
you. Talk to you soon.
Love you too.
Okay.
Bye.